My name is Jordan. I am your host. This is the podcast to elevate, expand, and connect the conscious community, both locally and internationally. Today, I have really special guests here. They are going to be touring in the Madison area, and they come from far, far away. And I'm so excited to have you guys here. Thank you for being here. And I'd love for you guys to introduce yourself and tell a little bit about you.
Sure. My name is Allie Chappell. I'm an alto sax player, and I'm also one of the co-founders of the band.
I'm Stephanie King. I play trumpet and I MC for Brass Queens, and we're so excited to be coming to Wisconsin.
Yeah, cool. And so with the Brass Queens, one of the really cool things about it is that you guys are an all-female band.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you guys just released an album as well that was inspired through this collaboration of the female empowerment. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I guess I'll start.
You go first.
We started writing this album about a year ago, and it comes out October 18th, so it's coming up. But we are kicking off the celebration of this album with the tour, including Madison. So this will be one of the first times people are hearing this music live, which is at High Noon Saloon. So we're so excited about that. But yeah, I mean, this album is a celebration of our stories as a group, as a whole, and also individually. We all kind of went off and wrote our own music and then brought them together as like all the different songs together to the group, and we all kind of finished them and finessed them, put our Brass Queen sound on them. So like you said, it's definitely a celebration of women and women in music and the strength we found in playing together.
So amazing. And what a powerful experience to not only be able to create music, but also have this like feminine creative portal of like all bringing your magic in together and being able to share that.
I love feminine portal of magic. I'm going to be saying that all the time, but it's really true because our genre, the kind of New Orleans inspired brass band music genre, is extremely male dominated, and it was when the band was created in 2019, and it still is now. So even though we've grown incredibly as a group, there are still challenges and things that we have to overcome as all women in the group that other bands don't face. And so that's why I think there is such a special bond in this group, and why we felt comfortable like coming together to create something completely new that was all our own, that we could share with everybody, because our experience isn't like anyone else's. It's totally unique. It's totally ours. And so I think it's just really exciting that we get to take that on the road and show it to people.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that'll be a very new kind of genre to the Midwest for sure. So I'm very curious, like, how did you, the genre itself, so people that will be in the area and checking it out, like, how could you explain what that will be like?
Sure. Stephanie says this better than I do. It's our sound is the Big Easy meets the Big Apple. We are deeply inspired by the New Orleans tradition. We go there every year. We have built long-lasting friendships and relationships with band members and bands down in New Orleans. We really take it seriously to be a part of the genre that we play out in New York City and around the country, and get so much of our strength and just our livelihood from. So that's really important to us. And one of the most important things to mention is that another band that does this is Mama Digstown Brass Band, and they're local to Madison, and they've been around for 30 years. They just celebrated the 30th anniversary. And so we really took inspiration from them as a band that has succeeded in doing exactly what our goal is to do, not being from New Orleans, but being able to be a part of this genre, even though we don't live there. So we know that they have huge respect for the New Orleans music scene and what they've created there. So we're really excited to share this bill with them and just bring this big, loud, brassy party that, has this infectious groove that, New Orleans is so well known for, that just keeps everyone moving all night long.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. The New Orleans music and genre is so different, and it's captivating in a way that's like, when I was listening to your guys' music, it's just like you hear, I mean, how many pieces do you guys have? Nine women? Yeah, so you just hear all of these different pieces of instruments that is not common in like everyday artists. You see a few here and there. So I think that goes to show a lot of the amount that you guys put into the music, as well as the creative aspect of like, how do we incorporate all of these different talents, sounds, and then create this beautiful the song, album, all the things together. So that's really cool, and great that you guys have somebody local as well that is inspiring and to connect and kind of co-host that with you.
Yeah.
So
I like the analogy that you reminded me of. I always like to think of is like everyone in the band is like a finger if you're playing a piano, or a string on a guitar. People are often like, "You're so big, can you play with less people?" It's like, well, would you cut off a finger? It doesn't really work. You're gonna miss that piece. Like, it all comes together to make the whole, and all of us together makes the sound that we like to put out there. So we wouldn't change anything about that.
And that was the part that was so exciting about writing original music, is that we know the band and it sounds better than anyone else. So we got to write songs that just played to our strengths, because we know who loves to do this kind of thing and who can do that. And it just was, I don't think we could have made something like this when we first started, but because we've been together for so long, we've been through so much, we've bonded over so many things, that we were actually able to come together and create something. Again, these were like individuals going out, taking their own interpretation of events and like writing them for the group. And everyone is different, but every song is perfect. It's perfectly Brass Queens.
I love that. So can you speak into a little bit more of that creative process? I'm so curious what that looks like for you guys.
Sure. It always happens kind of differently. As Stephanie kind of gave an example of, we all went off and kind of wrote our own songs. And I mean that as in like, there's like specific leaders for each of the tracks, because they had a specific memory in mind, or experience, or thought, or kind of just a vibe that they were feeling. And I say this because we were actually in a hot tub at one point sharing these stories as a group. And so we were really like, our memories were really jogged about, this conversation that we all had when we crammed all of us into this hot tub during our tour last year. So we went off and, wrote this collection of songs, brought it together in rehearsal. Some people wrote out their music. They, notated it in software, handed out. Well, actually, I lie. We don't hand out music anymore. People download it on their iPad.
We don't print things anymore.
We rehearse it and rehearsal, fine tune it, give suggestions. But, the person who brings it in is, kind of the thought leader on that song. In my case, I really like to adhere to the New Orleans tradition of learning things by ear. So I'll kind of come in with some voice notes, or like, just kind of melodies that I'll sing at people, and we really build it from there. So there's kind of different processes for how we learn the songs, and the unique flavors that like each person brings to each individual song really makes for an awesome like mix of music that doesn't just sound the same on the whole album. But the way we play and the way we've been playing for the last 5 years, when each individually interpret the music, it all kind of ends up being this like very cohesive Brass Queen sound.
Amazing. And so for the Stephanie, you mentioned this before about your process in creating, and with the band coming all together with the female aspects of it. What do you think that impact has been on both you all as individuals, groups, and even your community of listeners?
I know, from my very personal experience, that my confidence as just a musician and as a person has grown immensely being surrounded by some of the most talented people I've ever met. And not only are they massively talented, they are massively supportive. You can't get better if you don't allow room for growth. So we've had to like work together to get better. It's all about, individual practice, but then practice as a group too. And so we constantly make each other better, which is how we keep leveling up. And then in terms of larger impact, we've played a lot of different places. We're so lucky to have traveled a lot, but some of the most, dominant memories I have are, playing on the streets of Brooklyn and seeing little kids, especially little girls, seeing us hold and play the instruments that they maybe have never seen girls play before. Like that's huge to, just change their perception of the world in that moment, and having them want to like run over and hit a drum set or hit a key on a saxophone or something. It just opens up this world of possibility that wasn't open to them before. And that I think is the main impact of our group, is that we are creating visibility for women in this genre, to say that it is a space where anyone can play. It's not exclusive. It should be very inclusive. And our goal is to like never not be visible. We always want to be out there. So I'm very grateful for anyone that's come up, or like we've had fans come up and say, "Oh, I played trumpet in high school, and I was the only girl in my section, and I hated it. And now you guys maybe wish I kept playing." And so it's like that's it. That's the most rewarding thing that we can hear, is that we make people want to engage with music more.
Totally. And I think it's an understatement of how much courage it takes to do that. Not only courage, but also like the discipline and determination, because when you're stepping into the unknown and somewhere that has not been created before, there's a different momentum that is there. And so it sounds like that has been super rewarding for you guys to see that reflection show up in your audience and in children, because they're the future. So how cool.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Like Stephanie said,
you go.
I was just gonna just re-emphasize what she said about support. Like we can only do it because we support each other on like the deepest level of friendship, which you don't always get in just a band. Like you can be a really close-knit group that plays well together, but something about our chemistry as people and the deep relationships that we built with each other really comes up across on stage, but it also allows us to experiment in rehearsals, allows us the patience with each other to improve, and knowing that we'll always have that support is what allows us to keep going forward. And I don't think we would be where we are without that.
Yeah, I think we're not afraid to feel our emotions with one another. Like there are we don't have those boundaries or those barriers. We're very open with each other. And I wonder, if that's how other bands feel. I don't know, but we kind of give ourselves over to this project and this music. And I think that's what makes it incredible. And I did want to mention also, in terms of like breaking barriers, that we are very inspired by, New Orleans, but specifically the original Pinettes Brass Band, who was the first female brass band in New Orleans, who formed back in the 90s. So they really did, when you talk about bravery and courage, they really did a lot to set the way for us. And we're just really trying to take that and run as far as we can with it.
Amazing. Yeah. Having the community, that's one of the 3 pieces of medicine that I believe that started this podcast, is our community, music, and our diamond gifts. And so when we talk about having somebody to lean back on, and especially women, having women need other women to come here and be all of you, be more of you. So I think that's really special that you guys get to experience that together. And I love hearing that.
Yeah, it's so special. And we're so lucky we get to capture it in an album form, and just have that forever. It's like a true gift.
Absolutely.
Is it a diamond gift? I don't know the definition of diamond gift, but it sounds
Yeah.
like a diamond gift.
I like the idea of it.
It is. Yeah. My definition of the diamond gifts is like the facet of the diamond that we come on earth to fulfill that nobody else has. That's our job that we have to.
I love that.
Very cool.
Yeah. But definitely a gift in the caliber of a diamond having an album, I'd say.
Can't go away. That's my favorite thing about recording music. Even though it never compares the experience of it being live, it's just that it exists as something that is there for forever. It's really our memory of it that's forever, but it's documented in a way that no matter where we go from here or where life takes us, like we have this shared experience together.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you guys see yourself going now? So we have an album coming up that is going to be released here this next month. You guys are like opening up tons of doors for other people. Like, what is your vision?
I'd say we're still, we're making it to Madison on this trip. We're going to Chicago, Detroit. We're based in Brooklyn. I think we want to make it all the way to the West Coast. I think that's like step one. So to keep doing what we're doing and really kind of continue to make it out there. And we really love small communities too. Like we've been in Memphis, Colorado. We're going to Ludington, Michigan. We've been to small corners of the Northeast. We were just in Wilmington, Vermont, and Kingston, New York. Like we love just meeting people where they're at and, getting to be a part of their culture for a night or a day or however long we're there.
Yeah, for sure. But side note, if you're listening to this and are in any of those areas, be sure to drop a message so we can connect and share this more with everyone. Stephanie, it looked like you were going to say something.
I was just shouting. I was just excited about people potentially coming.
Yes.
We can shout out the tour dates though. We have, we're going to do a little Midwest tour in October. So we're going to be at the Hideout in Chicago on October 9th. We're going to be at the Grand Theater in Wausau, Wisconsin on October 10th.
My stomping grounds.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Did I say Wausau right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I'm really afraid I'm going to not pronounce it correctly.
No, you're doing great.
Okay,
I think
awesome.
that's the one that sold out though.
Hell yeah.
Oh, well, too bad. Come bang at the doors.
Right.
Let's see. We've got Ludington Area Center for the Arts in Ludington, Michigan on October 12th and Cliff Bells in Detroit on October 13th. And then we come back to Brooklyn for our album release show on October 16th. And it's going to be just like a homecoming party and it's going to be so much fun. I cannot.
Oh, wow.
At Brooklyn Bowl.
Brooklyn Bowl.
Brooklyn Bowl. Okay. So if you're over in Brooklyn or nearby, I know you guys have very close quarters over there. Go check them out. But yes, if you're in the Midwest, be sure to find one of those areas to go check these lovely women out. And go say hello after the show as well, because I know that a lot of artists appreciate that and just love hearing feedback, as you can see that it's really been impactful for you guys to hear just sharing your medicine. So thank you guys so much for being here and for showing up for yourselves and for the community. It's really great to see this out there.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.